Back on Restream again, crossing my fingers that I won't have any problems, but we'll see. If Restream decides to give me some problems this stream, then I'll probably continue to stick with just streaming on YouTube. But I like giving people the option of choosing whether to watch me on Twitch or watch me on YouTube, whatever their platinum? How did I get there? Platform of choices, whatever their platform of choices, then they get that option. I personally prefer YouTube though, but far be it from me from stopping someone from watching me on Twitch. And I'm gonna be honest, I almost didn't feel like streaming today, as has been the tradition the past few streams. Again, I've had another busy Saturday and felt kind of exhausted, just didn't really feel like streaming. But I actually got not as much accomplished as I had hoped this past week. There's like not a lot to show off in the game because I don't really want to show some of the stuff that I've done. But also, a lot of the stuff that I got done was actually music related, and I want to go over that. So it won't take long to go over the music, and then after the music is done, then I guess, I mean, I can kind of briefly like highlight what I did in the game this past week. I don't really want to show it off in detail, so you know, we won't actually like, I probably won't play test what was accomplished. I'll just kind of say, hey, here's what I did. Anyways, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So let's talk about music. I actually got 2 songs finished this week for the game, and I love both of them, and they are both vastly different. They are polar opposites in genre, and that's kind of what makes them so fun, but I still love both of them. I finished some boss music, and that's kind of one of the things that if I feel up to it, which I think I will be, if I feel up to it, I think we might try working on setting up the boss and kind of refining the combat mechanics I'd already created with the damage stacking and stuff like that. So I created some boss music. I think in a previous stream, a couple of, probably 3 or 4 streams ago, I had shown off my new combat music. Probably. Let's see. I have all the tracks here. I've made listenable versions because I think the idea is I'm going to go ahead and release the game for free. However, since this game has had a lot, will have right now, it actually, according to Steam, I have so far put less hours into developing this game than my previous game. You should go check out my previous game if you haven't. But I know for sure that that will change because the amount of content in this game is considerably more. So, but I'm still thinking that I'm going to release it for free. The reason is that a lot of it is just like other people's assets or even default assets. Like, it doesn't feel like it's polished enough to be a commercial product. I may change my mind about that in the future, but that's my feelings for the moment. And because of that, I had made plans to release the soundtrack on my Bandcamp, because there's actually probably going to be a non-insubstantial amount of music that will be present in this game, and so it would actually probably constitute nearly a full album. I mean, it'll be a little bit short it'll be short for a soundtrack, but for an album, it would probably be about the right length. So that's how I figured if anyone wanted to support me, is they can just buy the soundtrack. So that all is just to say that I have versions of this music ready for just listening. Let's listen to first the old combat music. This is one I showed off a while back, so this is not one of the new songs. Yeah, so that's the combat theme I showed off a little while back. So now, why don't we show off the new boss music, which is pretty fucking hype. You ready for some fucking drum and bass? Yeah, man. It's so fucking cool, man. Ah, it's really addicting. I've had this song on repeat for a little while now. I fucking love it. It's kind of like, oh man, what's the fucking word? I had the word on the tip of my tongue. It doesn't matter. It's like it can't decide what the fuck it wants to do, but I kind of like it. Like it's constantly, the song is constantly changing. You know, you still have your drum and bass beat just fucking hammering through the whole song, but like each phrase of the each musical phrase is like it moves to entirely different arrangement. It just keeps changing. It's cool, man. It's cool. I like the constant changing, and then at the end of the song, there's this really fucking cool trill on the violin. I can't. Yeah, let's just bring that up real fast. Yeah, also, man, I love I know, I have a feeling like if there's people who cared about this song, there would be divisiveness about the little frequency modulation that I'm doing in the background. I have this little like peak that's like sweeping just everywhere, and it's really chaotic, and I like it, okay? I like it. I like this song. I can't wait to have a boss battle to put this fucking music to, man. It's so fucking cool. So yeah, that's one of the songs that I worked on. I worked on that song probably for most of the week. I had a lot of trouble mixing it, but I think I finally got to a place I'm happy with the mixing. I don't know if it's perfect, but I'm not gonna sit there and like perfect all the little frequencies and little niggles about the mix for this project, because it's kind of like I'm gonna waste too much time working on a single song for a project that's this small. So, not to mention that there's still a lot more that needs to get done too. Like, why waste so much time working on that when there's so many other things that need to get done? So, yeah, and also again, more justification, but also like I said, it's probably gonna be like a free, it's gonna be a free game. Like if this was a more commercial game, yeah, it would probably put a little bit more work into the polish, but it is still supposed to be fairly small in scope, just more fulfilling of an experience, but still small in scope. So anyways, yeah, that's fucking cool, man. I'm pretty excited about that, and that's another reason why I would like to, we might work on making a boss tonight, because I have an idea for a boss design for one of the levels. There's a pun here, and I have a feeling it's gonna go over a lot of fucking people's heads. So allow me to explain a joke so it's no longer funny. One of the levels I've thought a lot about this level. I have some pretty cool ideas of making an interesting level. I don't know if it would be like, you know, my previous game, it had like puzzles and stuff in it. I don't know how much of that's going to be implemented, but there is sort of a miniature. It'd be like a miniature open world is the idea, but it'd also be like a Zelda dungeon. It's a Zelda dungeon that's like a miniature open world, and it's the idea I have for it is pretty cool. Also, it's a whole fucking pun because Fiddle and the Big Decision, this game that I'm working on, is really just an expansion of the previous concept, which was Fiddle and the Maker's Trial. And if you played that game, go play it if you haven't. It is basically just a story about me trying to learn game development, and this is just a continuation of that. And so, again, I'm here to explain the jokes to wipe away the funny. One of the previous songs I had shown includes the name of this level that I want to make, right? It's called The Vast Seas. The Vast Seas, alright? Seas. Okay? So, that's the level of music right there that I was just playing. I played it in a previous stream. This is not a new song. So, I wanted to make the boss battle be like a two bosses at once kind of boss battle, and one boss will be called Plus, and one boss will be called Sharp. It's Plus of the C's and Sharp of the C's. It's C Sharp and C plus. Right, that's the joke. You're fighting the bosses Sharp and Plus at the C's. All right. Anyways, it's not a very good pun, I know, but I was proud of it. All right. I like Sharp and Plus, and I had an idea on how to design them as well. Why there should be two, and basically it comes down to the player choice of who gets to die first. So we have, let me explain this later. Once I start working on bosses, I'll explain the mechanic behind them. Let's stick with the music for now. There is some backstory for this song first. I want to go ahead and just, not absolve myself? What would you say? I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm too tired. Words are not coming to me. There's so many words that, like, I know what I want to say, but they're not coming out. So whatever. Anyways, explain myself. I guess that's one way to put it. Like before I play this song, I copied a song. Okay, I copied another song. Let me shout it out. It doesn't need a shout out because it's from a popular game and it's from a popular game soundtrack. No, before you say it, is not Blue Reflections, because you missed the part where I said a popular game. Blue Reflections is not popular. So, No, it is from Link's Awakening, the Nintendo Switch version. There is a secret song in it, and it sounds a little something like this. I hope Nintendo doesn't copyright me for playing this secret song. It's only like 30 seconds long. That's probably enough for you to get the idea. It pretty much loops that anyways, and that also avoids any possibility of getting copy striked. So yeah, all right. It has that. Is it called Muzak? I'm not really sure what it's called, but it's got that like 60s stereotypical shopping kind of vibe to it. 60s, 70s, maybe 70s. All right. I tried writing this. I mean, it's not unique to Legend of Zelda. That's pretty stereotypical kind of sound. This is just the first song that came to mind that has that style that I know of, that I actually own, because I own the soundtrack to the game despite not owning the game. But anyways, yeah, and so I tried making that kind of rhythm on my own, but I couldn't figure it out. So I did it the lazy way, and I just dropped it into my project and kind of looped regions and figured it out how it went. So I basically copied this song, but don't worry, it's not exactly the same. It's 50% the same. The other 50% is totally my original stuff. So yeah, this is actually just like this song right here the Nintendo song I just played. This is also a hidden bonus song that you'll need to unlock if you know what you're doing, although the route to get there is pretty obvious, actually. I think players will be able to figure out. I mean, like, they're not going to know that they're working towards the music, but they're gonna be at a point where they're presented with an option, and when they're presented with that option, if they go with the other option, they will stumble into this music, right? If they go with the secret option. So yeah, anyways, let's play it, and I love it. And like I said, it's on the totally opposite side of the spectrum from that drum and bass stuff, and I still love this song actually a lot. So let's give it a listen. Yeah, man, I love it. It's so fucking cheerful. Here's another reason why I like that is because I think this was 2 streams ago. I started the stream off with some music, and it was some music that I was really happy about. There seems to be a curse here where anytime I show a music off on stream, I become unable to finish it, and I have yet to have finished that song. However, I do have a draft of that song rendered here. It's not a finished product. The only reason why I want to play this is because This theme, which is a theme I probably wrote like a year ago and has just been sitting on for a while, is finally kind of like coming together. And this little secret hidden song here is a lot of fun because it is recycling that theme. Actually, the reason why I even started this music section off by playing the previous... excuse me. Playing the previous battle music that I probably shown off, I don't know, 4 or 5 streams ago. I don't even know how long I've been doing this. Anyways, is because I've been very economical with a lot of this soundtrack design by recycling themes. And actually, the battle theme has been reused throughout almost this entire soundtrack so far. Which, one, like I said, is very economical. And 2, I really like it, actually. The theme itself is not particularly strong. Not the main thing I made for this game. The fiddle stream that the fiddle theme that I made, like a year ago, I believe is a very strong theme. However, this game's theme is not very strong. However, despite it not being very strong, recycling it has really given... one, like I said, is economical. It's made writing music a lot faster and easier because I'm not having to really come up with a completely new thing from the ground up. Like, I can take this theme and maybe shift some stuff around for the new song and just make it work, or adjust the arrangement or whatever it is that needs to be done. So like I said, it's economical, and 2, it really has given a life to this game. Like, having this theme constantly just reused really kind of really feels like a glue for everything, right? Makes everything feel connected. So it's efficient and also, I think, very effective. So anyways, that's all to say. I'm going to play the fiddle theme that I'd come up with like a year ago, and we'll come back to this song that I just played now. So this is going to be a little bit quiet because, like I said, it's early draft, so it hasn't been mastered. It doesn't have the limiter on it, so I'm going to go ahead and pump up the volume, and if it's still quiet, then, I don't know, just raise your volume or something. What I want you guys to listen to, right now there's a guitar, but there's going to be the main melody that comes in, and that's really what I want you guys to listen to. So I'll point when it comes in. Okay, yeah, I cut it off there because the following part actually recycles the this game's theme, and we don't need to listen to that. So, now that you've had that in your head, I hope you have it in your head now, let's go back to this song that I was just playing before, which is, where did I, here, and here. Yeah. So, yeah, it's the same theme. I've recycled it again. That's the short of what all that was about. But here's the reason why I also find it interesting. It was a fun challenge because the original fiddle theme is actually written in 3/4 time. This song is in 4/4 time. So I went with a pretty easy solution to that, which was just adding in an additional rest for the most part. That was the solution. So basically, this root note for this, I guess root note for the current chord would shift to the first beat of the measure, and then this chord would be 3 beats, 1, 2, 3. But then, the next one would be 1, 2, 3 here. So this would just shift over one beat. And then everything, keep shifting things one beat over like that until it extends the full 16 bars. Actually, I think it's 8 bars, but whatever. The full length of the 4/4 phrase. So that was really the most simple solution, which was applied to most of the melody, but not all of it, because obviously that would create some weird timing things where the way that notes would flow together would suddenly be broken with this extra weight, one beat weight. So there was it wasn't the most difficult thing to do. I'm not saying that it was difficult. Just what I'm saying is that it was a problem that had to be overcome and solved, and I did it, and I'm proud of it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I guess it's something that makes me enjoy this song more. It's also that it's this stereotypical music kind of thing. However, I do feel like it also has its own character to it. First of all, the chords themselves are surprisingly minor, despite it being rather upbeat. There's a lot of dissonance in the chords, and that's just because that's Fiddle's theme. I took the chords are straight out of the original Fiddle's theme that I'd written, so they're all kind of it's just how I write my music. My music's always slightly minor no matter what. I can't seem to write something wholly major. So anyways, yeah. And so you normally wouldn't kind of find that kind of minor stuff. If there was ever any sort of minor stuff within that kind of stereotypical kind of shopping upbeat stuff, it would only be a transitional chord. It wouldn't be like the backbone of the song. The backbone wouldn't be in a minor phrase. This one is, for the most part. So yeah, it's getting kind of warm in here. I gotta turn off my heater. That was also probably gonna remove some of the noise from the background, so you guys probably appreciate that as well. So yeah. And then also the guitar, I think, really adds a lot as well to it, which I'm also pretty proud of. Obviously, I don't play guitar. I have a new library that I've been having a lot of fun with, and has, speaking of backbones, has become quite an integral backbone to this whole project as well for the music. So yeah, we'll skip ahead a little bit here. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah. So that's all of the music stuff. So the two songs were the drum and bass song that I had written, and then also that whatever shopping song, which, like I said, that one is for a fun little Easter egg, I guess you could say. that is actually within the intro sequence, which this is what I've been working on for the most part of this past week, is this whole intro sequence here. Last week, I had shown off that I had developed this this area and had built this out up to the crystal, but I don't think I had actually scripted much of the beginning. So basically, what I had done is when you start the game, there is some dialogue and stuff that will happen at the start of the game. It kind of gets you caught up to speed, kind of talks about some stuff. There's also a few secrets actually hidden within that as well, so it's kind of funny that even within the very beginning of the game, the start sequence, I guess you would say, there's some secrets there. And it's just dialogue. It's just text boxes. I still managed to finagle a little secret in there for any of the people who want to test my game logic. Anyways, so besides that, I had also built up to this crystal, like I said, but I hadn't really developed anything beyond that. So this past week has mostly been developing this crystal. This crystal is what I'd really kind of consider the intro sequence. At the start of the game, you have this start sequence, like I said, where there's some dialogue and whatever. And then from that point, after that dialogue, you'll kind of jump through like all these tiles and stuff, and you'll make your way while... oh yeah, I remember last time I left off too, scripting a couple of dialogue things that would pop up occasionally as you make your way through this. Obviously, that's done. So those events work their way all the way up until you get to the crystal. And then the crystal kind of starts this whole intro sequence that kind of puts the events of the story into motion. And throughout this week, I had been working on that. So like it's kind of like I don't have a lot to show off because it's all right here. And you can see it's actually quite long. There's a bunch of stuff happening right there. And that's not even the end of the what I just scrolled through. Like this isn't even the end of the whole intro sequence. This can be ignored here. There's more intro sequence stuff that happens even after with with the new character that's introduced here. And there's some more dialogue with him as well. So yeah. And during this intro sequence, there's going to be a point where the I wouldn't say the player is presented with a choice. I guess it kind of is like a choice, but basically the player will be able to play the game. Like between all of the talking that's happening to set up this intro sequence, there will be a brief moment where the player is allowed to actually take control and not just read dialogue. And it's during that point that I have implemented the Easter egg, where if the player decides not to continue to progress the story, but instead decides to wander off or whatever they decide to do, that with enough patience, it will trigger my hidden BGM here. So I don't want to spoil it because I think it's really funny. And I also think it's pretty obvious. The players will know, like, when they're able to take control, there will be an event that will be happening on screen that will probably make some players ask, I wonder what happens if. And it's going to be those people who say, I wonder what happens if, that they will stumble into this Easter egg. However, for the rest of the people who decide to just go along with the game, that it's actually the preferred option, because that's the way that the story events are supposed to go. This secret event is also, for story reasons, also going to make the game more difficult. And it's not just an idle threat to try to push the player into continuing the dialogue. It will honestly make the game more difficult if you just tempt fate when the game, when the player is sitting there wondering, what if I do this? The game will say, you don't want to do that because it's going to be way more difficult if you do that. However, if the players decide to do that, it's not just idle. It will be more difficult. There's, I guess, a brief divergence in the story just to set up this event for those who decide to make the game more difficult on themselves or decide to just continue the story as intended. I should clarify that this one is clearly not intended, despite me scripting some logic for that case. The intended one is this one over here, and I tried to push the players that way. But like I said, I did develop an entire song for the people who decide to go the other way that's not intended. So, yes. So that's something that I've been working on, and as a result, of course, it also kind of increased the development. I've had to work on a few. I have to like plan that now that there's kind of a divergence in the story. I got to plan on how to bring it back together. The only it's going to diverge. When it diverges, there will be some modifiers that are set that kind of adjust the difficulty of the game, as well as a few other things that I have planned. They'll be very minor, but just to make, like I said, very, very minor. Like, it's almost inconsequential stuff, but at least falls in line with this story divergence. And so it's going to set those things, set those modifiers and stuff like that, and then it needs to just, as far as the scripting of it goes, needs to converge, because I'm not going to build basically two different fucking games, two different stories, because one player decided to fucking test my logic. Sorry, I'm not going to fucking develop that. This game, that is way out of the scope of this game, so I have to bring it back together despite the player making the choice. So anyways, I am working on that, as well as also working on just the primary intended path for the player. So yes, like I said, that's all work I don't really want to show. Like, I scrolled through the text just to kind of say, hey, this is what I did. So yeah, there's that. So I've gotten you caught up. A bunch of scripting, which I don't want to show off, and some music, which I've already shown off. There is a new animation that I'm pretty proud of how I implemented it. I don't have a way to activate it from the sandbox. I don't have any sort of way of activating it without actually triggering the story event, which, like I said, I don't want to show off. So let's just create a little button here that'll trigger the new animation so I can show it off. Actually, here, I'll tell you what. Let's not do that. Let me show off the new character, which is gonna be which one? That's what I'll make it. I'll make here. Here we go. Here he is. So there's our actor. He's stepping. When he's stepping, it makes his colors do funny things. And so also when we talk to him, I'll set it so that way it can activate this new animation, which I'm proud of because I had to work around fucking RPG Maker's limitations. This had prototyping that was done that failed. There's a couple of iterations to try to get this system to work, this animation to work within the game. I'm also not an animator, so yeah. So this was a fun learning experience. So let's copy that here. So I've commented all of this. This is for me, but we can read the comments so you will also understand, because setting up this animation is quite complicated. So the first comment reads, below is to set up the transfer animation. So this comment is talking about this right here, which says scroll the map so the desired entity to be clicked is in the center of the screen. Since it's going to be the player, we're just going to go ahead and remove the scroll map because we don't need to. But it is important that for this animation to work, the object that it's being applied to must be in the center of the screen. But since it's going to be the player, we don't need to worry about that. The wait is to ensure the map has completed its scrolling before initializing the animation. So it's not necessary, but to make sure that there's no hitches that go off with the like the animation not connecting properly with the event. There's a short wait. Again, we don't need that because I don't need to scroll the map, so I'm just going to delete that. Here's where it gets fun. This is an invisible version of the animation that draws every single picture to prevent flickering when playing back the animation when it is visible. So, this is what I discovered during my prototyping. Let me explain what is happening with this animation, all right? Let's go over here. What is happening in the event scripting here is that it's calling a common event. So, a common event is here. And you can see we have transfer enemy P1, P2, and buffer. So basically what is happening is I have manually drawn the game has manually drawn frame by frame individual pictures. Rather than actually having like an animation file or a sprite sheet that it can just like call cells from. No, it is a series of individual pictures that is basically calling from the files, drawing it, waiting a certain amount of frames, deleting it and drawing the next picture, waiting a frame, deleting it, drawing the next picture, waiting a frame, deleting, drawing the next picture. So basically it's doing classical animation by flipping through a series of pictures. And what happened through my testing was that RPG Maker does not like calling individual PNGs that quickly. So that's where the buffer animation comes in. So that's what this event is, the common event buffer transfer animation. So it's talking about an invisible version of the animation. So basically what this is doing is it is calling the individual pictures and it is drawing them. However, the alpha is set to 0, so it is transparent. It is effectively transparent. And it basically flicks through that animation super fast. It just... so that way it buffers all of those individual images into memory. I guess that's where it's going. Because if I don't do that, what will happen is that if I don't buffer the images, it will like do this weird flickering where it will draw the images, but it will like draw the image for just a second and then it'll disappear. So if we go back to the common event here, go to the proper animation, you'll see that it's waiting 3 frames and then draws the next picture, wait 3 frames, draw the next picture, wait 3 frames. And basically what would happen if I don't buffer it, it would basically draw the picture in 1 frame, delete the picture for the next 3 frames, so it'd basically be invisible for 3 frames, and then draw the next picture for 1 frame, and then delete the picture for the next 3 frames. And effectively what happens is the animation becomes very flickery. And so, yeah. And now, if there's anyone who's familiar with RPG Maker, at least in a little bit, I'm sure people who are deeply familiar with RPG Maker know the answer to this question, but those who are only slightly familiar with RPG Maker are wondering, why don't I just use one of these animation sprite sheets, right? Like, here there's a bunch of animations, right? I have this nice one down here. This is one that I bought. So we can play that, right? Look at that nice animation right there. It looks clean. It looks good. Except you may be noticing, I don't know, it's kind of hard to tell because it's probably pretty small on your screen, but it's a little bit pixelated. And there lies the problem. Here's the transfer animation using animation cells. Boy, that sure is tiny. If we scale that up to not be so tiny, it will be incredibly blurry. And part of that can be blamed on me for making the art so small. However, RPG Maker is limited to 192 pixels, 192 pixels, 192 by 192. That is the max resolution of a single cell for the animation sprite sheet, which is frankly way too small to execute the animation that I wanted. Which is why I went through this fucking nightmare setting this whole thing up, which, by the way, a lot of fun. Setting up the individual, go here, show picture, what number, it's 99, what's the image, it's gonna be frame 11, right? Okay, like, woo, a lot of fun setting this whole thing up, and then adjusting the timing. Thankfully, I was fairly accurate with the timing. I assumed it was around 3 frames. I wasn't right the first time. I was close, but I wasn't, so it's a lot of fun going back through and adjusting all of this. So, yeah. So here it is calling individual pictures 50 times because there's 50 frames for this animation. So, yes, I made this custom animation. So, that's what the buffer is for. The buffer is to prevent flickering. So, yeah, this is an invisible version of the animation, talking about the buffer, that draws every single picture to prevent flickering when playing back the animation when it is visible. Yeah. So that's what the buffer common event is. So next, this comment here, this executes the portion of the animation that sets up the transfer event. So this is like half of the animation. Actually, it's more than half. It's like 3/4, maybe even more than that. 3/4 of the animation. We'll just say 3/4 of the animation. But I have to stop it here. I have to give it a break because I actually need to tell what happens when the animation executes. Like, keep in mind, the common event has no logic other than display picture. Like, it's not gonna, like, tell something to move somewhere or anything like that. Like, you know that something's moving because it's called transfer, right? So yeah, I have to tell it in the animation here within this event. So there's a break, plays this part. There's a brief break in the animation. The game will process this this stuff quick enough that that'll basically hardly interrupt the animation at all that's happening. So here it executes whatever needs to happen, whatever needs to transfer, as well as another animation to kind of just some particle effects to make it seem a little bit more lively. And then finally it plays the last portion of the animation, and that's the full thing. So now that I've explained that, let's see it in action. Let's set the player here. Go ahead and save and launch the game. It might be a little bit loud. It's a little bit loud, yeah. Let's set the volume down like that. Where's the other one? There it is. Good enough. All right. Yeah, that seems okay. All right. So let's go talk to our new character. You can see him here. He's all flickery and stuff. I quite like that. I like his design. So, and it's very simple. It was very easy for me to do. So, anyways, yep, there he is. And now when we talk to him, it will automatically execute the animation. So let's watch that animation. Oh, oops. The particle effect is not aligned with the player because I didn't assign it correctly. Let's do that real fast. Let's fix that. Show animation. See, it's assigned to the parallel controller, so it's assigned it to something else. We need to assign it to the player. There. And set event location. Sure, player. I mean, I don't need to do this, honestly. Oh. Right. Actually, let's not do that, because it's not an event, so let's just remove that. I don't know why there's a wait 20 frames. I think that's for the, yeah, that's for the animation, the particle effects. Yeah, I may change that whenever I don't know. We'll see. Anyways, let's refresh the game. I didn't save. Safe. There we go. Let's refresh the game. Alright, let's try this again. Yep. That's the animation. I haven't applied any sound effects to it yet. I will. I've already recorded a few sound effects for the animation, but I haven't actually processed them and put them in the game yet. So, yeah, that's just it. It's just this. But this was fun, right? So you'll see that it's like this mouse cursor that comes down, right clicks on the player, opens up this context menu. Mouse scrolls down to a listing in the context menu that says quick event, and then scrolls over to transfer and clicks on transfer. That's actually based off of RPG Maker here. So like if we go just right click anywhere, you'll see that it comes up with this dialog box, and we can scroll through and there's quick event creation and then transfer there. So what I actually had to do was, this was a combination of like redrawing some of this by hand as well as screenshotting it. So like I screenshotted the context menu and just erased creation. So it just says quick event. That's it. No creation at the end. Just quick event, transfer. However, the little highlight when you like flick your mouse past different options, like, you know, right now it's blue here or blue there. I had to kind of redraw that myself. I mean, I could have actually like screenshotted things and like I could have done it that way to make it look more legitimate, but I decided not to do that simply because it'd just be it was a lot easier to just basically create a blue gradient box and just move that wherever I needed it. Also, the mouse cursor is not the original mouse cursor. So you'll see it's a different mouse cursor, and then there's a little splash whenever it clicks. Right? Little fireworks. Pew, pew, like that. Yeah, so, yeah, I had added those in as well, of course. So, yeah, so that's the whole animation. I'm pretty proud of it as someone who's not an animator, you know. I was pretty proud of that. It also took a lot of fucking troubleshooting to figure out how to get that thing to work in the game. Because as I had already demonstrated here in the animation tab, I did make a sprite sheet for this animation, and it looked like ass because it was so pixelated. So, you know, that went through trying to figure out, like, how can I get this to display. Well, actually, originally, like I said, it was a long process. When I first rendered the animation and tested it in-game and everything was blurry, I realized, everything's kind of been squished into like a very small area in the middle of the screen. It may be possible that I can completely re-render this animation, but kind of blow it up like in Photoshop and then bring that into the sprite sheet. But like it meant reconfiguring so much of the animation. Like the one problem was that like at its size, it was appropriate for the mouse to come down like off screen and then right click. And that's really what I wanted. I wanted to feel like the mouse was coming into the screen. Like it's always been there. It's just been up there somewhere. That's how I wanted to go. Is like the mouse has just been up there somewhere, and then when it activates, it's like the mouse comes down from there and activates. So by blowing everything up to be big enough to fit into that 192 by 192 square, suddenly I didn't have as much headroom for the mouse to come down. So I was trying to like come up with like ideas of how I could do that. And you know what? It was just such a nightmare that I just like I just decided to explore other avenues of how to get the animation to display in this game at a higher resolution. So thanks, RPG Maker. I love how you want to squish everything into pixels. So anyways, yeah, there's that. That was the other thing that I got done. So some art got done. Like I made this little guy, and made that little animation. There's a couple other faces I had made. There's a face that goes with him, as well as the maker, who was the boss in the previous game, who's, to no surprise, is back in this game, because I'm not very creative and just didn't want to come up with another antagonist. So I did do, I wouldn't call it art, it's just clipping stuff, but you know, now he has a little box for him, because this is not in the game by default, surprisingly. So I just took his side view battle, like his art asset when you're in the battle screen, and just kind of, you know, cropped it to make the little box there. And then of course there's the box for our shade actor, like that. You can see kind of, I got a little bit messy with it, so it kind of overlays over here and over here, but that's fine. This is all here. See, it's just this guy that I've applied the overlay to. So it's just the same one, same guy, just like that. So yeah, that's what I did. As a not artist, I'm pretty proud of this very, again, as I've used the word with my music, very economical use of resources. So yeah. Anyways, somehow I've managed to just chat for like an hour and almost an hour. I did, like I said, I wanted to maybe work on some combat stuff today. But I don't know if I want to, actually. As is usually the case, you know. Sorry to disappoint. But yeah, I don't know. It's just, yeah, I like I'd started the stream off saying I'm pretty tired, and it's usually the case with even my previous streams. Tired, so I just kind of want to relax. So yeah, we'll see if I get to the combat over the week. The nice thing is like, you know, I don't really want to work on scripting and dialoguing and stuff like that while I'm streaming, just because I would rather concentrate on writing interesting dialogue instead of trying to talk and be entertaining. So I don't know. Maybe over the week I may get to the combat, but I feel like maybe I'm going to focus more on doing the dialogue and making sure that I can get the intro sequence set up, the full thing, like from game start to player ready. Because what I have so far is almost there. Like, I want to get to the point where, so let me like give a brief overview of the plan. So like, here's how the intro starts, okay? You start here on this little island here, and you're gonna make your way across. There's some, you know, like dialogue and stuff that pops up. Come up here, you activate this crystal. There's story events that happen that kind of set some of the story, that sets the story into motion. And that's also when you meet our new character here. He tells you, hey, we need to move, or we need to transfer to this town, and that will bring us to here, this town that I worked on a couple of streams ago. When the player enters here, there's also going to be an intro sequence where, in my mind, I think they're going to be like crash landed somewhere over here unconscious, or maybe somewhere out in the field. I'm not really sure, just like somewhere unconscious. One of the townspeople is going to find the player, bring them to the inn. The player will wake up at the inn, and one of the innkeepers, either the wife or the old man, he'll kind of talk to the character, the player, kind of tell them like, welcome to the town, here's what's going on. I've had this vision in my head. Oops, I didn't mean to transfer there. I had this vision in my head too, this idea of maybe, because one of the key things about this concept with this game is that the player gets to choose what they want to tackle first. I'm actually pretty happy with the dialogue that was presented during this moment here, just before the player is able to transfer. I do think that the dialogue I've written makes it very clear that if the player wants to, they can go straight to the final boss without leveling up or doing anything at all if they want. However, that doesn't make clear that there is no order to the levels that need to be completed. There are 3 levels, right? So we have the sea down here, the vast seas. That's where Sharpen Plus will be. And then we have this one, I think it's the Unreal Forest, the Unreal Woods. And over here we have the Cavern of Unity. I might change those names, but as you can see, they're references to game engines. So anyways, yeah. So these can be tackled in any order that the player wants. And so the vision that I had is after the player wakes up, they'll probably step out here. And I'm thinking of like having, like the idea in my mind is like in some of the very first Pokemon games, like Red and Blue, and I think maybe even in Gold and Silver, there would, like the first town that you go to, there's this guy, this tutorial guy, who would kind of like introduce the town to you and kind of walk you around and like, oh, here's the Pokemart, and here's the Poke Center, and you know, stuff like that. And like this road leads to route whatever. I was kind of thinking of something similar to that. I'm not going to explain to the parents, Jesus, to the players that you know, here's the church and here's the library and here's no. I think again, there's going to be some important dialogue that hopefully makes it clear to the player that they should really go explore the town themselves and talk to the NPCs. Like I hope I make it clear that you really want to talk to every NPC in all the buildings. So instead, I think what I'm thinking is that one of the innkeepers will like guide the player around, saying like, oh, here's the problem over here. Here's the problem down here, and here's the problem over here, and I don't know, like kind of walk them around and kind of try to explain to the player. Hopefully, if I write the dialogue well, they'll understand that they can tackle these in any order that they want. And yeah, so that after that point, I think the player will be set free to basically play the game now. So it is a lot. It's a lot of setup at the beginning, and if there's any sort of criticism I can foresee coming is that it may take a while before players can actually get into the game. The player-ready state, I guess I would say, where there's not just dialogue and they're not really able to control anything, where they're just able to actually go out and explore on their own, set off on the leash. However, I guess it's just important. I want to put story in there. So anyways, at that point, yeah, that's the point I want to get to this next week. Hopefully, if I don't get there, I at least get close to the point where the player is able to be let off their leash and just free to do whatever it is that they decide to do. Because once that's done, that is actually most of the story. That's the thing. It's like there'll likely be some story events, short story events in each of the levels, but it's not going to be anything at all like the beginning. It'll all be fairly brief, and then of course there'll be an end as well with the final boss. So I think that's going to be like, I would probably say like 50% of the story is here and during the introduction of the town, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, right. That's the plan. That's what I hope to do. So if it takes me all week to get to that point, then maybe next week. I actually don't know what my next Saturday is going to look like. I might actually have more free time. Let's take a look at the old calendar here. Yeah, I think next Saturday will be fine. That could always change, but so I may feel more motivated to actually on stream, like actually do something and not just explain to you guys what I got caught up on in the game. Also, if I do everything as planned, as in just working on scripting and dialoguing, as I've already mentioned, I don't really want to show that off on the stream. I'd rather you guys experience it whenever the game is finished. So it probably wouldn't take long to walk you through what I did, which means, you know, within the first 10-20 minutes of the stream next week, I'll already have gotten you guys caught up what I'd done to the game over the past week, hopefully. hopefully that's the plan, which means we can maybe focus more on figuring out some more in-depth mechanics with making the nuance, the subtleties, the polish of the combat work. That's really what I kind of want to do, as well as of course try to figure out those bosses that I have the idea for. Sharpen Plus, I have a pretty cool idea with them. I think it's simple, it's not complicated, but I think presents an interesting problem that I don't necessarily know the answer for yet, and that's why we need to develop them to figure out if we can find the correct answer. So anyways, like I said, tired, and I just talked another basically 10 minutes nearly explaining all that stuff. So let me just go ahead and wrap up the stream here. Thanks for joining, and plan is the stream again next week. So see you again next week. Go check out my previous game. Go buy my music. Like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, and